Hi, Jenny, and welcome back to Entrepreneurcast. It's so great to have you back with us today. So, Jenny, today we're going to talk about offline visibility. We already talked about online in our previous episode, and we know how to be more or less visible online. But, in the world of now, everything goes into social media. So how do we stay relevant offline and how do we stay visible offline?
This is a really great question that I love and quite a funny one, because one of the things that, if you're watching this and this is your first podcast or first video that you're watching now, definitely go back and look at the others. Just in case you don't know, I'm a visibility queen. I'm known as the queen of being seen. And the reason that I'm known as the queen of being seen isn't about my visibility, it's about yours. So this is a subject that's close to my heart. So in the previous one, I gave you a very short acronym to be able to talk about being visible online. And I'm going to use the same acronym to show you how to be visible in the flesh and offline. So let's say that you are an avid networker or new to networking. Let's say you go to a conference or a seminar. Let's say you go to somebody's workshop or one-day event, and you want to connect with the people around you. So there's two types of people. Well, there's more, but there's two main types of people that fall into this category. They either love the energy of people, they can't wait to get there and talk to everybody, or there are people that want to go to these things, but deep down they're like, get a bit shy or, have that barrier. And actually, I lie, because there are people like me. I'm quite clearly extroverted, but there is a point before I walk in the room where I'm like, deep breath in, and then I go in. For some people, I know that's enough to stop them from walking through the door. So if that's you, this is for you. So when you go to a networking event or in the flesh and you're speaking to somebody live, I want you to use the acronym ACE. And I spoke about this before. It's a bit of a buzz 80s word. ACE is a really good thing to do, but here's how you do it. So I talked previously about A being for acknowledging, and it's still the same thing here. Now, there's two sides of the coin. If you are part of a networking group, maybe you're a breakfast networking group, maybe you're a mompreneur or something like that, there will be people in the room that are both comfortable with networking and uncomfortable with being there and networking. So if you're in a room and you see somebody standing on their own, this is where acknowledgement is so important. Even if you're deep in conversation with somebody else, include the person. Don't let them stand by themselves. Even if you say, come on over, we were just talking about the problems of building your website when you change your business, or whatever the thing is, get them to come over and join. They can stand there, they can listen, they can pick up the conversation, and they can feel involved. The same thing goes, and I used to get this quite a lot when I used to go to seminars. People would recognise me or my work, and they would almost like queue up to see me, which is really odd when you go somewhere and you're not the person on the stage. And I learned the hard way because I felt really uncomfortable. I'd be talking to somebody and I'd be like, oh, you're waiting to speak to me. So I decided that I wanted to acknowledge those people. So if people are waiting to speak to you, just say, I'll be with you in a second. It's as simple as that. Let them know that you've seen them. They might say, oh, well, I'll come back in 5 minutes, or I need to dash. Again, you can draw them into the conversation, or you can say to the person, do you mind if I just quickly pick up with this person and come back to you? So that acknowledgement is so important. Now, I remember actually coming to one of your events and taking a friend with me who was like, she's quite introverted, and she said, I love networking, but I hate that feeling of walking into a room. And I said to her, this is what you do, come with me. So as we walked in the room, we could see everyone around speaking. We went to a pivotal point of the room, at the other side of the room. We didn't say anything to anybody. And this is a great way for the next part of this acronym, C for connection. So we stood at the wall and we got ourselves a drink, and I said, all you have to do is stand here and put out a good intention that you want to meet really great people, want to connect with really great people, and people will start to come over. So we stood, and our only job was just to look around the room and observe everybody. And lo and behold, the first person came up, and she was like, oh my gosh, hi, my name's so-and-so. What's your name? What do you do? So we had this conversation, and we literally just stood there in a nice open way, you know, facing the room so people could see us, not in a huddle or like we were sort of secret squirrel. And people started to come over, and it's a great way to connect with people. The other good way to connect with people live is wherever you've met them, an event or networking. Sometimes people exchange business cards. Now, I always say only offer a business card if somebody requests it. Otherwise, it feels a little bit thrust in your face. If you don't have a business card, don't worry. If you're on social media, maybe you're on LinkedIn, then I've often got my phone out and said, oh, are you on LinkedIn? Oh, you are? Let me see if I can find you. Is that you? Yes. If I send you a request, I'll send you a message when I get back, but I'll send you a request now, and you've now connected with that person. You carry on the conversation, and you know, when you get back home or back to your office or wherever you go to, just spare yourself 5 or 10 minutes to send a message, even though you've now connected with this person, and say, do you know what, I really loved speaking to you today at Svietlana's event. It was so nice to talk to you about your son and whatever else you were talking about. I really look forward to seeing more of what you share. Just make that extra effort to connect. Some people, I remember this client said to me, I don't like doing all of that small talk and stuff. And I said, if you meet somebody at an event and you don't want to connect with them, then don't, because they feel it. Oh, hello, yes, I'll take your card. Okay, bye. They feel really dismissed. It's the opposite of connection. So if you genuinely don't want to connect with somebody, don't. Have a pleasant conversation and move on. You know, if somebody then tries to throw their business cards or flies in your face and you generally don't need them, you can say, thank you. I see you on social media, so I can look out for you then, but thank you anyway. Save your business cards to give to somebody else who might need it or request it. You don't have to be kind of a cowbag about it, you know, you can be quite cool about it. And then on the third piece, the engagement piece, you just never know some of the connections that you make with people when you're engaging with people in a room. So I want to share like a true story, and I've now got so many of these, it's difficult to know which one to pick. But I remember going to a workshop once, and I randomly just sat next to somebody, never met them before, and I noticed that they were getting a bit nervous about something. I didn't know them. So they told me that they needed to sort of speak after the break, and they were feeling a bit nervous. Now, you know, I've been a presentations coach, you know, so I've helped people with presentations and stuff. And one thing that people don't realise about me is that I really love working with people who are nervous, who are scared. It doesn't have to be just about presentations. It could be about, well, visibility, it could be about being on video. So I said to them, you know, I had a quick conversation, said, like, here's a couple of really great things to do. Number one, let's kill the adrenaline. Great big deep breath. Get loads of oxygen into your body to kill the adrenaline. Slow your breathing down. Then the other thing I said was, you know, ground yourself. Imagine you've got tree roots, very yoga-esque, you know, going into the ground. So we had this conversation, and they said, actually, I feel a lot better, thank you. They stood up and they spoke and did the bit that they needed to do. You know, even like the introductions, that can be really nerve-wracking for people. And afterwards, I said to her, you know, I've studied a lot of NLP. I find it really interesting, mainly for myself. And there's a really great book you can get that covers this element. So I said to her, like, you know, have you got a business card? Let me get one of your cards or contact details for you. And I've got one of the books at home. I'll send it to you. So that's what I did. Literally, like 3 years to the day, we kept in contact with each other. You know, they got the book, and every time that they were around, we'd meet up or have a quick Skype chat or something like that. And 3 years to the day, they said, you know what, I've got to do this presentation on this subject, really big audience, I'm really nervous about it, can you help me? So I didn't intend to engage with that person for any kind of ill-gotten gains or to get anything out of it. I just, like, we felt a really great connection, we engaged with each other, and from a business perspective, it paid dividends some years later. You know, we ended up doing this work together. And we are still connected to this day. So the moral of the story is, like, don't force a friendship, don't force a connection, don't force an engagement with somebody. It should be a two-way thing, you know, or I'll do it this way so you can see that on video. But like, imagine the figure of 8, that infinity sign. whatever you put out there will come back in some way, somehow, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's an introduction, whether it's a referral or something else. But like, just again, it's about your vibe. Let your vibe allow that engagement to happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's very interesting, the way you said it. I usually say something very similar in my talks about when you give and don't expect anything back, because we don't really think about it, but it's all happening on an energetic level.
Yeah.
It's energy. You give energy, you get it back. You give it back. And sometimes we give somewhere, we give, and we don't really, because it doesn't come from the same source, it comes from somewhere else, and we sometimes don't even realize, and that's how it works, because, yes, it might be you communicate with a specific person and you help them and you do whatever it is that you do for them. But then it could be like sometime later that something incredible happens to you and you wouldn't even tie it together, but it's because you put that energy out, it comes back. So definitely, totally agree with that. So thank you for your message today, Jenny. It's been incredible. I am a huge advocate of people going and networking. Business networking is what I've been teaching for a while. So being visible offline, I believe, is very important, and keeping in touch with people like we did, and now we're doing this weekly show together. You never know where those relationships are going to lead. So go on, kick ass, meet people online and have a lot of fun. Thanks again for your time. I really look forward to our next week's message.
Bye, everybody. Bye for now.